Hey there, third grade. This is Mr. Campbell. We're going to be starting today on page 173. And today, what we're going to be working on is lesson 5.2 using a table to multiply and divide. And by the end of this lesson, we want you to be able to say, I can use reasoning and the relationship between multiplication and division to find basic facts. So we're going to be using multiplication table, which looks like this. Now, we've been working a lot about how do multiplication and division work together? How are they related? And that's what we're going to put into practice for today. So I want you to be ready. I want you to turn those brains on. Make sure you got your pencil ready so you can write down what I'm writing on my paper, just like I'm doing, you're going to do on yours. And let's go ahead and turn to page 174 to get started for today. All right, before we get started in our book, I'm just going to walk through a couple of different things that we've used this year, a couple of different ways that we've related multiplication and division. So the first is just knowing our multiplication facts. So 7 times 5. And so if we look at 7 times 5, we can go, I know that it is 35. So if we know this fact right here, then we can also do a couple other things, right? We can turn this into a division fact. And our division fact starts with the largest number, and then we're going to divide it by one of our two factors. Let's just keep the 5, and then we have to use that other number. So 35 divided by 5 equals 7. And we also practice that with our fact triangle, right? We put the largest number up on top. The two numbers that we can multiply together go on the bottom. And now we can write out our different multiplication and division facts. So we already did 7 times 5 is 35. I could also say 5 times 7 is 35. And I've got another division problem. We did 35 divided by 5. What's 35? And if I slide down the side to divided by 7 equals 5, right? So I can do these different facts just by knowing the different parts. And so even if I don't know all of them, if I had another problem, I'm going to go ahead and erase real quick. If I had another problem where I was starting off with something that I don't know the answer to. So for example, if I said I've got 42 divided by 6. All right, if I have 42 divided by 6, well, on my fact triangle, I can start to fill this in, and I can say, well, I've got 42 up here, and then I've got my 6 over here. And so I would say, well, what times 6 is equal to 42? And I would say, well, 7 times 6 is 42, right? So my 7 can go over there. This is how we've been working on multiplication and division and how they relate to each other. All right. Well, let's take a look now. Those are great strategies and something that we're going to continue doing. But now let's look at, this is called our multiplication table. And we just talked about it a little bit, but I just want your eyes here and following along. We're going to be practicing in your book in just a few minutes, but I want you to see exactly what this is. All right. So if I have a multiplication problem, all right, if my multiplication problem is going to be 8 times 9. All right. If it's 8 times 9, this first factor is where I'm going to find over here on the side. Do you see this times up here? It's because I'm going to use the numbers from the side and the numbers on the top. So first up, I want my 8. And so I'm going to go ahead and cover up here. And so what this means, I'm coloring right now. You're not going to do this every time, but I want you to see it before we do anything else. So I color all the way across. So I start at 8. And I go all the way across. So I colored that in with blue. And now my other factor is going to be 9, right? And so if my other factor is 9, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to color in all of my 9. And I'm going to use red for this one. All right. And now what we're saying is 8 times 9. Well, I colored in all of my factors of 8. All of my factors of 9, and where did they connect? What did they actually, connect to is right here at our 72. All right, so that tells me that 8 times 9 is 72. Okay, so this is how we can use it for multiplication. Well, what about if I wanted to do a division problem? So let me go ahead and erase this real quick. All right, and this time we're going to switch it up a little bit. All right, so I'm not doing multiplication. Now I'm going to do a division problem. And so this time I'm going to do 56 divided by 8. All right, well, how am I going to do this? Well, in my fact triangle that we talked about before, I know 56 would go up on top and 8 would be one of my two multiplying factors, right? So I can come over here to my 8. So I'm going to go across the top all the way over to 8, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down until I see 56 because that's the other part of mine. So I know 8 is a factor. Where is 56? So I come down. All right, here's my 56. I'm going to go ahead and give that a quick circle. And now I can say, well, 8. And now I'm going to go over, and it's 7. So that means 56 divided by 8 is 7. Now, are you ready for this really crazy part right now? All right, we talked before about our fact triangles, right? And look at what happens if I connect these three pieces together. What does it make? Oh, it makes a triangle. Look at that, all right? And so our largest number is right here. My two multiplying factors are over there. So when I go back to my original problem, all right, I said 56, 8, and then 7 was over here. So 56 divided by 8 equals 7. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our math book now and see how this relates to what we're doing in our book on page 174. All right, so here we are on page 174, and it says that we're going to write the missing factor for each equation, then use the multiplication table to find 15 divided by 3. All right, so it says look at where the rows and columns intersect in a multiplication table to solve the division problem. And that's what I was showing you earlier by coloring in those different parts. Now, we're not going to do that on this one. Instead, what we're going to do is look at our problem. So 15 divided by 3 equals what? And we already know we can flip this equation around into a multiplication problem and say 3 times what equals 15. All right, so that means I can start off here at my 3 because that is one of those factors, right? And so slide us down here. There we go. There's my number 3. So we're looking across here to find 15 because we said 3 times what equals 15. All right, so we're going to go across until we find 15. Boom, there it is. And so step 2, they've colored that in for us. So we said 3, we've got 15, and what's the other thing? Well, we've got to go up. And so when we go up, there's that 5 that we see there. So 5 times 3 equals 15. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Our triangle will continue to work together in these different ways. All right, so that's what we're going to be working on today. And so I'm actually going to, before we go to the next page, I want you to use some of our problems down here. I'm going to ask you to pause the video and see if you can use your multiplication tables up here to solve. So we've got 6 divided by 3 equals what? 12 divided by 3 equals what? And then 9 divided by 3. All right, so check out here. All right, we're still looking at our 3's. And so if I start here and I go over, all right, 3 is one of them. My first one's asking for 6. So 3, 6, and 2. So we would say 6 divided by 3 equals 2. All right, you do the next two on your own. Pause your video. Try that out now. All right, I hope you pause the video and try those. We've got 12 divided by 3. So we're still using 3 as our one factor. And we're going to go across until we find 12. And then where does that take us to? Well, it takes us to 4. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And now our last one is 9 divided by 3 equals what? If you haven't solved it yet, pause it, try it out. All right, but we're going to come up to our 3. That's our one factor. And we're going to go across till we find 9. Whoop, there it is. And then we go up. Oh, that's a 3 also. So 9 divided by 3 equals 3. All right, that's the skill that we are practicing. Well, let's go ahead and turn the page to page 175 to check out another example of a multiplication table. Here we are on page 175, and the first thing I want you to check out is that our table here is not like the multiplication table we were using before. The factors on the sides are not in any particular order. They are just random numbers put together for us to be able to use. So when I take a look here, I say 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times, I've got a blank up here. 2 times what gives me 8 is the question that I'm now asking. 2 times what equals 8? Well, I hope that you're going, oh, I know that one. It's 2 times 4 equals 8. All right. So 2 times 4 equals 8. Oh, I see another blank down here. All right. Well, 2 times 8 was 16. 9 times 8, 72. What times 8 gives me 32? Well, I'm not super great with my 8s, but I am really good with my 5s. So here we had 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times what will give me 20? I know that one too. It's 4. And then I can double check and say, well, is 4 times 4 16? Yeah, it sure is. So we can do all of these different multiplication problems over here just by filling out this chart. Now down here, we've got a couple of vocab words. We've got, these are factors, all right? The factors are on the sides. They're the ones that are in blue. And then our products are here in the middle. These are the greens in here, and then some oranges as well, all right? Those are the ones that can help us out. So it's kind of like a puzzle that you've got to look at and figure out the different pieces to be able to put it together, all right? Well, we're going to go ahead and come down here to our do you know how? All right, do you know how? We've got some different multiplication problems here and division problems here. Now, we've got our multiplication chart that we're going to use because it says use a multiplication chart to help you. So if you've got yours, go ahead and pull that out. Be ready to go with it as we go ahead and start to solve these problems down here. All right, so I've zoomed out a little bit because we're going to do number 2, which is 24 divided by 6. Or we say, well, 24 equals 6 times what? So over here, I've got my multiplication chart. All right, I just asked 6 times what equals 24. So I start with my 6 and I go over to 24. And then I say, what's my other number? It is 4. 6 times 4 equals 24. So on our paper here, for number 2, 24 divided by 6 is 4. And we know that because 6 times 4 equals 24. All right. That's how we can solve it using this. Let's try number 3. All right. Number 3 says 63 divided by 9. And I'm going to have you go ahead and pause your video to solve number 3 right now. 63 divided by 9 equals what? 9 times what equals 63? Pause your video and go ahead and solve that right now. All right, I hope you were able to solve that. Now for this one, I'm going to start at 9, and I'm going to go over until I find 63. So 63, boom, there it is. All right, and now I'm going to go up. Where was that 63? It was with 7. So 63 divided by 9 equals 7, and then 9 times 7 is equal to 63. All right, let's go ahead and jump down to number 6 and check that out. All right, so here we are on number 6. And so I see I've got my factors on the sides, and then I've got my products in the middle. Now, I've only been given a few products, so I'm going to have to do some serious work here to figure out where these other blanks are going to be. All right, and there's factors that are missing. There are products that are missing. There's a lot here. So I'm going to go ahead and start up here. So I've got 5 times what will give me to 25. 5 times what will get me to 25? Well, I know 5 times 5 is 25, right? So if I've got 5, 25, what do I need over here? I hope you said with me 5. So we're going to put a 5 over here because 5 times 5 equals 25. Well, can I do this next blank? 5 times... Oh, I can't do that. I don't know what my other factor is, and I don't know what my product is, so I can't solve that one just yet. Same with over here. I can't solve that one just yet. All right. What I can do is 2 times 5, though, right? 2 times 5. Well, 2 times 5 is 10. All right. So we are cruising here. Oh, I see another blank that I can already fill in. What's 5 times 6? Well, 5 times 5 was 25. 5 more would give me 30. All right, so I've solved all of those. I've solved all of these going across. Whew. Now I got some work to do. All right. Well, I need to look at what products I've already got, and then I can figure out my different factors, right? So let's go ahead. We'll keep it with the 5s. So I had 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 5 was 25. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times what is 45? 5 times what is 45? Well, 50 would be 5 times 10, and this is 5 less. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 9 is 45. All right. Now I'm really cruising. Well, now that I've got that, now I can go, what other information do I have? Well, I've used all these 5s, I've used all these 6s, and I don't have these 2 factors. So I really need to figure out what those 2 factors are. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a problem with the 2 that I have. So I've got 48 and I've got 6. So my first question is going to be 6 times what equals 48? All right. 6 times what is going to equal 48? I've got 48. I've got 6. 6 times 8 is 48, right? 6 times 8 is 48. So I can go ahead and put that one in. Now I can start to work on these. What's 2 times 8? 2 times 8 is 16. All right. Now I'm going to say, well, what's 5 times 8? Ooh, 5 times 8. Well, that's 40. All right. Now I can say, what's 9 times 8? Well, 9 times 8 is 72. This is how we solve each of these parts. We're just starting to figure it out. Now I'm going to ask you a question. All right. How are we going to figure out this last one up here? What am I going to do to be able to solve that? Well, I see I've only got one answer in this column here, right? And that's 42. So what am I going to do with that 42? I'm going to divide 42 by, you got it, 6. So 42 divided by 6 equals, and that'll give us our factor up there. What is 42 divided by 6? Well, I saw 8 times 6 was 48, and this is 6 less, so it's got to be 7. 42 divided by 6 equals 7. Hey, now that I did that, now I can solve these last few problems, right? 2 times 7 is 14. 5 times 7 is 35. And 9 times 7 is 63. Okay. All right. We've got another table over here that you're going to follow those same kind of steps. Ask yourself, what information do you know? What information do you need to know? All right. And solve step by step. You also have a couple more problems up here that you can use your multiplication table to help you out with. But that is all that we're going to go through on today's video. Thanks so much for working with me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we will see you next time.